righty. And Miss Havilah, I'm not sure if you're sharing
I'm
anything.
not. I don't have any slides.
Okay,
Just you
awesome,
get
awesome.
to just look at me.
All right, no worries. All right, so if I could present you to Havilah here. She is a certified nutrition and health coach as well as a group fitness instructor. She has been in the health and nutrition space in some form since she was 13 years old. She has danced ballet for 25 years and still dances once a week. She spent 22 years as a corporate consultant working with small business and now uses many of those skills to help her clients find their best health supporting life. She's passionate about food, health, and living your best and most fulfilling life. And if I could present Havilah Vangroll, come on down.
Thank you. I'm Havilah, and my company is Have Strategy Coaching, and we are Healthy Life Simplified. So really, my focus is creating healthy living in the most approachable and sustainable way for everybody. Each of us is different. Health means something different for each of us. It's not a body size. It's not a body shape. It's not a weight. It's really about quality of life over a long period of time for your optimal health. So what I was going to do today was Healthy Meal Simplified, but I have a slightly different audience today, so I'm going to just change it up slightly. We are going to talk about that. But also one of the things that we're going to talk about and sort of what I do is I have 4 pillars in my Healthy Life Simplified program. And it's knowing your nutritional IQ. What are you eating? How are you eating? When are you eating? And how is that working for your body or not? And then working with you on that. And then it's creating a simplified, customized nutrition plan for you and your whole household. So when you have disparaging eating partners, they don't line up with your eating style. How do you create one meal that still meets your nutritional needs and also allows your partner to feel like they're getting the food they want and need as well? And part of healthy living is managing stress too. So we work a lot on that part of it. Part of creating Healthy Meal Simplified, the program that I have within my Healthy Life Simplified, is simplifying that evening meal planning, particularly if you're mom or you're the primary cook in the family cooking for other people and not everybody's things line up. I have a kid with food allergies. I have a kid who's like a super taster. So there was a long time where she wouldn't eat certain things together because they tasted funny together in her world. She also was going through some chemo for a while. So that changed everything. So that was a whole other thing. So we've been through the like picky eater stage. Oh yeah, I've done the picky eater thing. And then exercise and movement, obviously, and you all are a pretty health focused group is obviously part of that whole Healthy Life Simplified, but it's not moving and exercising as punishment or torture or revenge for eating something. Like food and exercise are not mutually required. We do both of them because we love our bodies, and that's how we help sustain a healthy life. So that's really what I focus on and how I help people. And so in Healthy Meals Simplified, what we talk about is how to create a meal plan. And there's 5 things, and you start with preparation and planning. You have to be prepared and you have to plan. Anything in life that you're good at, if it's business, if it's whatever it is, you have to have a preparation and you have to plan. You have to prepare to go into a meeting and do a presentation. You have to plan and prepare when you're ready to move into the next phase of your business. Planning and preparing, it's the same thing with your health and nutrition, and it's the same thing with cooking meals every day, whether that's breakfast or lunch or dinner or some combination thereof. So like I have standard things that I make for breakfast for myself that I know I like, that fill me up, that keep me happy and don't make me sleepy or feel like I need something else, that kill my cravings because they have enough protein and enough fat to create satisfaction in the morning. And I've repeated that with my kids. I have one who's a sugar junkie. Let me tell you how fun that one is. But he would like to just eat muffins and sweet yogurts and cereal. And I'm like, that's not food. Like, I mean, that's part of a meal, sure, but that's not your whole meal. So getting him to do proteins, and we use a lot of smoothies with him because they taste sweet, but they aren't got a lot of sugar in them. And it gives him that protein boost that he needs for the day. And he does better in school. He has more energy. He feels better overall. So it's creating all of those. And so I think it was Noreen talked about grocery shopping. That's a huge piece of it, right? Planning and preparation is knowing what you have in your pantry. It's knowing how to get through the grocery store quickly and efficiently. And then it's having a plan each day for your evening meals primarily is what we talk about in this space. And the fastest way that I found to do this is we assign a protein to a day. So it sounds really simple, right? Like, why do we do that? But it limits the decision of what's for dinner tonight. How do I figure this out? And you know, each week going into the grocery store, there are just certain things that you need to have. So that's the summary version of what we're going to talk about. So preparation and planning really is getting it prepared. Have a meal plan, keep a running grocery list, make sure that you have everything you need in your house, and make sure that your kitchen is clean and tidy. So my 4 steps are: make sure you have a stocked pantry and freezer. And this is making sure that you have the basis for any meal in your pantry or freezer at any given time. For example, you should have grains, whether that's brown rice, quinoa, maybe some pasta, because that's part of what you eat, and that's okay. Pasta's not evil. Pasta's okay. We eat pasta at my house. Pasta, beans, chickpeas, any of those sorts of grains that help create basis for meals. Couscouses. Trader Joe's has a couple of really lovely rice mixes, melodies that have like daikon radish seeds in them and some quinoa mixed in, and it's really great. So it gives you a nice base, but it's just a really fast way. Chicken broth, I use the Better Than Bouillon that stays in my fridge, 1 teaspoon in hot water. I have a cup of stock. It's awesome. I can buy the low sodium and the organic one from Costco, and it's great. I don't have to keep boxes and boxes of stock in my pantry, but you always should have some chicken stock in your pantry, or vegetable stock if you're eating vegetarian or vegan, because that's just a great base for everything. So it's having the things you need on a regular basis in your freezer. I always keep my proteins in my freezer. Much like Pat, I have multiple freezers. Because keeping your proteins in your freezer means that even if you're cooking for 1 or 2 people, you can still buy the more cost-effective, larger larger packaging, and you freeze it. And then when you need it, you pull it out in the portion sizes that you need. So that's the preparation and planning. When you buy these bigger things, you take the extra 10 minutes to portion them out and put them in the freezer in those portions, because that allows you time when you're ready to cook it to not be like, oh crap, I've just unthawed, I've just thawed 7 servings and we only need 2. So again, that preparation and planning is really, really important. And having that pantry and refrigerator and freezer stocked, excuse me, having a meal plan is really the critical piece. And so the meal plan really is about creating the simplest process possible that allows you the most variety. So my thing is that I have picky eaters and I have food sensitivity and allergy issues, but I still only want to cook 1 meal, and we want to eat variety and we want to eat lots of different things. And so, for example, my son's allergic to fish, but the rest of us like fish, and fish is good for us and we should eat it. So on the days that I make fish for my family, all the other parts are the same, and 3 of us eat fish and he gets a chicken breast. And the thing about fish and chicken breast is often the same seasonings and the same sauces and the same flavor profiles match pretty well. So I can just create 1 meal, but I have 2 separate proteins, but they cook around the same amount of time and they cook about the same. So it creates an easier process in that I'm not cooking 2 separate meals because I want to eat healthy and everybody else wants to eat something else. The other part of that is, and this is what we talk a lot about when I work with clients too, is as the leader of the household, whether you're mom or will be a mom, or you just happen to be the one who runs the food in your family, or you're just the leader for yourself, as the leader in the household, you set the tone for how people eat and what they eat, and you'll get pushback. We talk a lot about how to have those conversations, how to communicate. Look, this is what I'm doing and I need you to support me. And in that support means that I need you to eat what I make. So it's sometimes having those hard conversations because we want to accommodate the child or the spouse or whatever, but it's having those conversations that you have to have, because here's the ultimate thing. If you change your health, you change your grandkids' health. Think about that. If you change your health now and the way you eat and the way you approach food and your relationship with nutrition and health, healthy living and food, you don't just change your life, you change the next generation's life and the generation after that, because you set up a legacy of understanding and a better, healthier relationship. And we break this dysfunctional cycle that so many of us were raised in when it comes to food and nutrition. And we create a new legacy. We create a better, healthier population, one family at a time. And that's, to me, that's my bigger why. Like, that's just super powerful. So maybe you don't have kids now, or maybe your kids are flown and grown, or Maybe you don't know where you will be. It doesn't matter. Changing the way you eat changes the way people see you eat. And that influence is you become a leader in that space just by leading by example, not telling people, well, I only eat this way and this is how you should eat. Just this is how I eat because it makes my body feel the best. And that's what I really want is to feel my healthiest and feel well. I take some very nice supplements and somebody asked me, are they addictive? And I said, well, they are if you like to feel well. I personally like to feel well. So food is very much like that. We need it at regular intervals. We need certain nutrients out of it. And when we're eating in a way that supports our body the best, we feel the best. So the meal plan and having a consistent way to feed ourselves on a weekly basis without having to be like, what's for dinner? And I don't care if you're single, married, have 10 kids, have no kids. The what's for dinner question makes everybody go, right? Like, oh my God, I don't know what's for dinner. So it doesn't matter what eating style you are, whether it's, you eat everything, you eat vegan, you eat vegetarian, you eat paleo, you eat keto, it doesn't matter. What my system allows you to do is pick a protein per night, and the protein always stays the same. So now we know that Tuesdays is chicken in my house. We always have chicken on Tuesdays. Now we can have chicken 200 different ways, but Tuesday is chicken. So I know on Monday night, I got to take the chicken out of the freezer because that's what we're having on Tuesday. And it just makes it easy. It's one less decision I have to make. Now, I might pick bone and skin on chicken, or I might pick boneless, skinless chicken. So that'll somewhat limit that, again, creates a smaller category of things I'm choosing from, or a whole chicken. All right, I'm gonna pick a whole chicken. That's really easy. That goes in the air fryer, done. 45 minutes later, I got a chicken done. So that just makes it easier, right? So it doesn't matter which one you do, it just creates consistency for your brain and just eliminates one additional piece. Now, I started doing this when I was single, before I had anybody else to cook with, because I'd come home from work and I'd be like, what's for dinner? And then it would be 8 o'clock before I finally figured out what I was going to even eat. And then it would be 9:30 before I was actually eating it. And then I was starving. And then I would go eat ice cream and everything else because I was too calorically deprived at that point. I had waited too long to eat and I had gone past my point of over hungry. So I started doing this when I was single because then it allowed me to come home from work, quickly feed myself something nutritious, and then have the rest of my evening to do other things or nothing, whichever worked for me that day, and not have to worry about what I was eating. So this is a process that works no matter what you do. And then just start with 4 recipes. Start with 4 recipes and rotate them monthly. So in other words, each month you can eat the same 4 things, but in a different order, but you're never eating the same thing every week in a row. Super simple, right? And then the grocery shopping. You have to keep a running list. You have to keep a list that's active on your refrigerator, on your phone, however you want to keep it, that as you run out of things, you put it on that list and you know. My big thing is you grocery shop 1 time a week. Once. Same day of the week, every week with a list. And if you shop at the same grocery stores on a regular basis, you'll notice pretty quickly that they're mapped out in a very specific way. And so when you grocery shop, you write your list the way you walk through a grocery store. Because then you're not having to backtrack and go backwards. You literally, so like I do a lot of Trader Joe's shopping. And the way that my Trader Joe's is set up is you walk in, all the bread products, all the fruits and vegetables, then there's the dairy, then there's the nuts, then there's the pastas and canned goods, and then there's the meat, and there's the freezer section. There's the chips and cookies, which we stay away from a little bit, but I have kids, so we have some of those. There's the deli meats, there's the cheeses, and we're done. So like I know exactly how that grocery store is laid out because I shop it every week. But I can get in and out of Trader Joe's and spend $250 on groceries in 35 minutes. Like in, out, done. There's no wandering around. There's no thinking about it. I'm not sitting in the line going, what do I want? The other thing is, if you know you're going grocery shopping, have a snack. Eat a snack before you go into the grocery store. Small little thing. I tend to grocery shop after I work out. I make sure I bring myself a bar. I have a protein bar before I go into the grocery store. Yeah, just don't go in hungry or stressed. If you've had a really stressful day and you're going to go grocery shopping, you're going to make some of the same bad food, the same less than healthy food choices you would if you were hungry. because your stress hormones and your hunger sensation are on the same scale. So if you've had a super intense day and you're feeling super like right here and agitated and oh, I can't breathe, do a 10-minute meditation in your car. I'm for real, or at your desk before you leave the office if you're going right from the office to the grocery store. Calm down, breathe, get into a better space and bring those cortisol levels down. When you do that, you make better food choices because you're not craving quick energy, which is your starchy fats, which is your high sugars, which is your processed food, right? You want those quick energies because we're feeling depleted when we're super stressed. So that would be the other piece of it. It's not just don't go in hungry. That's obviously a good thing. We all kind of know that already. Don't go in stressed. That helps create the same poor food choices that we make when we're hungry. So that's a big one that I've also had to learn over the years. All these things are things I've learned by doing them wrong for a while and then figuring out how to do it right for a while. And a list, you have to go with a list. Having done your meal plan, so I shop on Fridays. I do my meal planning on Thursdays because pretty much we're out of everything by Thursday night. So it's time to shop on Friday mornings. We run out of things very consistently right at that week point. And I make my meal plan for the next week on Thursdays because I'm going grocery shopping. So if there's a new recipe or something I don't usually have in the house that I need to add, it allows me to have that on my grocery shopping list. So make a list. And again, I don't care if you are just a couple, if you're single, if you've got a freezer full of food, always make a list for the grocery store because again, you only want to have to go one time a week. It saves time, it saves money, it saves energy, all things that we want to save, right? All those things that we want to take a little less expenditures of and a little more savings on. So that's shopping once a week is really, really critical. And then the last thing I really talk about and really am emphatic about is kitchen organization and hygiene. And I know you all know Janet, who does the organization. She's the organizer that was, why can't I think of her last name? Anyways, she has the best situation. Yes, thank you, Seisel. I was going to call it Swizzle, and I knew that wasn't it, Seisel. She does Bullseye organization, and it's brilliant, and it's very much how my kitchen was actually already organized. I was like, that's the perfect name for it. The idea is the things that you use the most frequently in your kitchen should be the closest to you. They should be easily accessible. They should be in an organized manner that you can find them quickly. So for me, where my stove is, I have a drawer right next to it that has all my spatulas and spoons and mixing things and measuring spoons and rubber spatulas and things like that. So when I'm at the stove, I literally just have to open my drawer and I can pick out what it is that I need. Things that you use a little less often get to go a little further away from you. They get to go one more layer out and so on and so forth. So having a tidy kitchen and having an organized kitchen makes you want to be in that space more, and it makes things less overwhelming and less stressful. We're all about minimizing the stress and the overwhelm. And the other thing is hygiene. Nobody likes going into a dirty space and having to work, right? So kitchen hygiene is a constant battle in most houses. And if you have kids or spouses are sometimes the worst. Cleaning up the kitchen is always a challenge, right? You go in and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to clean the kitchen to make the next mess. I don't want to clean up to make a mess to clean up. Like that's exhausting already. I'm already mentally tired. I don't want to do it. So if you can start to train yourself and the people in your household to clean as you go, and at the end of each meal, clean as you go. You do the cleaning while you cook. I do some of that, and then my cleanup crew comes in behind me and cleans up. So that was our deal early on in our marriage, was that if I cooked, he cleaned. I said, I can do that. I like that plan. That works for me. I like to cook. I don't like to clean. But I do clean as I go. So I don't leave him every dish that I've touched or every knife that I've touched or every pan that I've touched. I do clean as I go. So as things are cooking and finishing up at the end of by the time the meal is done, not every time, but most times, it'll be left with a cutting board and a couple pots or a pan to clean up because I've cleaned as I go. And then wipe your counters down. So just like in a restaurant, when they clean between each preparation of food. You need to do that in your kitchen too, because kitchens are where most of your bacteria is in your household, not your bathroom, your kitchen. Your toilet seat is actually probably cleaner than your kitchen counter or your kitchen sink. And I know people are like, ugh, but it's true. There's been tons of studies about it because food particles get left, things don't get cleaned up really well. Or the other problem is we use a lot of toxic chemicals in our kitchens, and then that ends up in our food and in our systems, and that's also a problem. So keeping your kitchen space clean and tidy makes preparing meals a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. Christine's gonna go wipe down the kitchen after this, right? So yeah, it's really about getting that, just really getting it clean, getting it dry, wiping the stove down. And if you just do it after every meal, like that full, like I have not a very big kitchen. If any of you've ever seen my lives, you know that it's not a very big kitchen. But my counter, my sink, I have a little bit of counter space, and my stove are sort of all in a straight line. And I literally just take my Norwax kitchen rag and I wipe it all down into the sink. Then I clean the sink out. Clean your sinks out. That's a huge bacteria infestation. Clean your sink. Make sure there's no food particles left. Make sure it's clean. This is where my husband and I have a slight conflict. He leaves stuff in the sink. I'm like, ah! Don't leave food particles in the sink. Lots of bacteria there. So rinse it down, throw it out, run it down the disposal. Just keep your sinks clean. And that really will cut down on any bacteria or possibility for foodborne illnesses when you're preparing your meals as well. All right, guys, so that's really the summary of it. So assign, plan and prepare, have a fully stocked refrigerator, freezer, and pantry so that any day you can make a meal if you have to swap something out. If snacks are your problems or sweets or something that you have challenges with, limit what you have in the house. That will help limit those temptations. And plan your meals. Just plan your meals. And if lunch is my struggle, so I have to plan lunch a little more than I do everything else, because when I'm left to my own eating, that I forget to eat, and that's not good. I do need to eat on a daily basis. So plan your meals, and then grocery shop with a list. Grocery shop not starving and not stressed out. Do it one time a week consistently, and you'll find that it really helps with budgeting too. If you know you're going to the grocery store, you know what you have in your house, you only buy what you need, it helps you really maintain that grocery budget. And the easier this gets, the less tempted you are to just run out and grab something, because you already know you have something planned and it can be done in about the same amount of time as it would take you to go run out and buy something. And it costs you a lot less, and you get to control everything that's in it. So that's sort of the summary of it. That's the quick and dirty. I could go on for days about all of this, but that's the quick and dirty of it. And kitchen hygiene, keep your kitchens clean. It sounds really simple and it sounds really silly, but it's actually something that a lot of people struggle with. They're like, my kitchen's a mess, it's always cluttered. Don't use your kitchen as a collect-all space. Find somewhere else for the stuff to go as you walk in the door. Keep your purses off your counters. Keep your bags off your counters. Really keep your kitchen space for food and for that relationship. All right, any questions? Happy to answer them.
Great presentation. Lots of great takeaways. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording just in case some questions get a little personal. So I'm going to do that. So if you missed anything, it will be recorded and put on YouTube as well. There we go. I had